Now here, only the government would come up with this idea. NASA, and this is from NASA. NASA's one of the supporters of Green Mechanical Council for different things, but they gave me this slide, and what it is these are solar arrays, okay? And they collect solar energy, and they turn it into a microwave. And they send it down by microwave energy and reform it as electricity and distribute it on the grid. Now, you remember the big squeal about, oh my God, we can't have wind turbines because it's going to kill birds? Imagine when this thing starts discharging down to the ground receptor and there's a goose that flies through that. Dinner is served. But basically, this is geosynchronous, and it's still in the concept stage, but I want to see this when it happens. Here's my idea of solar cooling. Now, you know as well as I do that solar cooling is very possible using absorption chiller systems, evaporative cooling, or desiccant systems. Or you can get a hat like this, and they are actually for sale. They're photovoltaic, and they actually sell out. When you go and you see these things at some of these smaller shows like MREA, they can't keep them. Everybody's walking around with one. Okay, let's talk about measurement. Lumens. Okay, there's some gray hair in this room. Let's talk about the way things used to be. The way things used to be is that we bought a light fixture and it came with a 60-watt light bulb. If it wasn't enough light, we went out and bought a 75 or 100-watt light bulb, right? So in our minds, the way we've been programmed is that if you want more light, you get more watts. We got to get away from that thinking. Now what we have to think in terms is lumens, which is actually what we're looking for. When we bought more watts before, we got more lumens by default. But we were programmed to think in terms of watts. All of these lights that are in my face up here are LEDs. Very low wattage energy use. But what they really were looking for was the lumens that are lighting up my face, sorry to say. But that is what we now should gauge our lights in, is the lumens that they deliver. Now what the heck is a lumen? All right. You have a 12 by 12 surface. This is close enough. You have a candle 1 foot away. One candle 1 foot away on a 12 by 12 surface is 1 lumen. So what a lumen is a gauge of the delivery, the lighting that you want. Okay? Now, when you go to the store and you buy a LED or a CFL or something like that, it says equivalent to a 60-watt light bulb. Has anybody seen that? Equivalent to a 60-watt light bulb, equivalent to a 100-watt light bulb. What they're telling you is that's the lumens equivalent of, for us old guys that still think in terms of watts. So the key is maximum lumens, minimum watts. So if somebody comes to you and say, here's a 7.5 watt light bulb, you're going to say, what do I look like, a bat? No, you look at the lumens. So let's talk about doing the math. This is the reason why copper costs so much now. In 1971, Ehrlich and Holdren came up with this equation to explain how energy is impacted by up-and-coming countries. And my two favorite examples of how this equation works is India and China. And with all due respect to the fellows here, I'm going to use India as an example, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're going to agree. India is a very populous country. I believe you said 1.1 billion? So far. Okay, was as of what time this morning? Yeah. But it is a populous country, and they've been enjoying an increase in affluence. Is that true? Okay. Because they've enjoyed this increase in affluence, they want the toys that they've never had before. The new car that came out that everybody wants to buy. They no longer live in the apartments that they used to be sandwiched into, and they want to have a better middle class structure. That being said, now we have a large populace that's becoming more affluent that wants the toys. Is that impacting their demand and competition with other countries, other populations, for raw materials and energy? Absolutely. For example, this car that came out. Is that going to compete for metals, rubber, fuel, hose, lubricants, asphalt, concrete, everything else? Absolutely. Absolutely. And as much as India is a good example of this, imagine China. Imagine Beijing getting the Olympics. Any country that gets the Olympics, you automatically see an impact in the availability of materials, I believe. So that's basically why the price of things have gone up. We have large populations that are becoming more affluent and they want their standard of living to improve.